Well, Libya is just the latest Middle East country to begin the process of creating a new government. But now there are concerns that Sharia law may be used as the basis of those new laws. Joining us now with his keen insights, Fox News terror analyst Walid Faris. Great to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
Let's talk for a moment about the concerns, because in Libya, the president, the transitional government, along with other members of that government, are publicly saying that Sharia law is going to be part of the agenda as they move forward in setting up the new government.
Well, Mr. Abdul Jalil, the president of the TNC, has said clearly in his speech celebration of the end of the Gaddafi regime that no laws shall be above Sharia law. He also said basically that Libya is going to head gradually towards becoming an Islamist state. Other members of the council have said the same. And we know that on the ground, the real force that controls neighborhoods and villages and towns are the Islamist militia. So all indicate that at the end of the day, even though gradually Libya is heading towards becoming an Islamist state.
Is this the case then? Be careful what you wish for, because there were many critics who said that we don't really know who these rebels are, and that the United States and other NATO allies are backing these rebels without fully understanding what direction they would like to take the country in. And well, now, if we have this, what are the implications for this?
Look, we had an earlier problem before the so-called Arab Spring that we did not predict the Arab Spring. I mean, the government and the main expert did not even predict that this is happening, that civil societies are rising against the authoritarians. Now, when it did happen, we had a second slogan in Washington: we don't know who these forces are. Now, when these forces basically became clear that they are the Islamist forces defeating the seculars in Egypt, in Tunisia, and in Libya, then now the third question, what to do about them. So we are a little bit behind the curve as these events are unfolding in the Middle East.
Well, you see what's happening in Egypt, for example. There have been, there's been amazing video of the riots taking place there. There are people going after the Coptic Christians.
Yes.
There is so much that's happening there that's unsettled. And people are saying, you know, you talk about this Arab Spring, and many people viewed it here as a move towards democracy. But really, that is not exactly what's going on. And how do we know that they're even going to be moving in that direction, not just in Egypt, but in other nations? We already know what's happening in Libya.
Well, we can't compare, not in perfect ways, but with what happened after World War II in Europe. Europeans were celebrating the downfall of Nazism, mostly the Central and Eastern European, but they fell under the Soviet regime for many, many decades. In Egypt, in Tunisia, and in Libya, the early stages of the revolts were really civil society, Facebook people, women, minorities. But then the Muslim Brotherhood and the other Islamist networks, very shrewd, very smart, very well organized, and then unfortunately, in a state of partnership with us to a certain degree, they were the ones to grab those revolts and now create the conditions for Islamist states, which in fact are exclusive of the other partners. And you just mentioned that the Copts in Egypt, for example, the largest Christian minority in the Middle East, has been harassed even under the Arab Spring, which is of great concerns.
So, are you worried about what lies ahead in terms of the future in our relationships with these countries? These are countries that are poised to be enemies against the West.
Well, maybe it's too early to say enemies, because they're going to take some time to firm up their policies. The problem is, in Washington, we need to have a direction in foreign policy that would match what's happening in the region. We are celebrating the Arab Spring, and the Arab Spring has been hijacked slowly and gradually by the Islamists, who are not going to be seen eye to eye with us, neither with regard the Arab-Israeli conflict, nor with regard our presence in the region, and most importantly, with regard their own people. They're going to exclude the seculars, they're going to exclude the minorities, and that is not what we call an Arab Spring.
For those who don't understand the implications of Sharia law, can you spell it out for us very quickly in the few moments we have left?
Well, basically that there will be a religious legal system, which here in the West we have not accepted, because we accept religion as part of the system, but not the system. And Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya will gradually move under that legal system, whereby no other regulation, neither secular nor community, will be accepted. No other political party can ask to change that legal system. That's where the problem is with regard to democracy.
We shall see what lies ahead. Obviously, it looks ominous. Thank you very much for joining us with your insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you.